point are we able to work together? But what I say to people is that it's not that we cannot work together by choice. It's the fact that the way we're scripted and the way we're socialized has not brought or giving us that leverage, unlike the Indians and the Japanese and the Jews and the Emirates. The way they were raised is totally different from the way we're raised. So as an Indian person, you are already familiar with the concept called fraternity, which is one of the three pillars of the Indian community. You are literally immersed into that from birth. The educational system is built on it, the society is built on it, and it's a concept that says that the only place the Indians must compete against themselves is within India. The moment they leave India, the agenda is the replication of the Indian community anywhere they go. So it's about collaboration. The same thing with the Jews, the same thing with the Japanese. Now, when we were living Nigeria or living Mozambique or living Ghana or whatever African country you are from, nobody gave you any agenda in the diaspora. Most of the time, it's for the betterment of your community, your personal family, is the betterment of your extended family. It's got nothing to do with your nation. So when we say, let us do a Nigerian or African association in the diaspora, the first problem you're going to encounter is the fact that you don't even know the values of the people you're dealing with, because the concept of Africa has not been properly articulated into a framework that is replicable. So if you say an Indian, there are basic things you're looking for. If you say Chinese, there are things you're looking out for. If you say Japanese, there are 6 national values that has been built, which forms a DNA creed of the Japanese. But if you say a Nigerian, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the Igbo, the Hausa, the Yoruba, the Idoma? What are you talking about? If you say the Ghanaian, what exactly are you talking about? If you say an African, what are you talking about? So when you do not have that premise, whatever you're building on is going to crash, because people will now begin to exhibit their personal behavior, and their personal weakness or personal pattern will clash with the pattern of every other person. And that's why there's usually fights about, so how do we investigate and do stuff together? So what we're trying to do is to even start from the foundation, that if you understand the family system that you're building, then it becomes very easy for us to build a proper community, because then people of like mind can come together. Every time I run around, I go around consulting here in Dallas, and I see skyscrapers. I'm always asking, who are the owners of these skyscrapers? Who are the owners of these apartments? Who are the owners of this office, commercial properties? You can bet that it's usually the Indians, the Jews, and maybe the Chinese. The same thing in Canada, because my family lives in Canada. Every time I go there, I see what the Jews and everyone is doing. So we will ultimately break every barrier, and maybe for the first time articulate who an African is. We don't care what every other person has to do. We care about what we have to do, because let me tell you, one of the things that coming to the diaspora must give you is leverage. Leverage for our children's children. That if all we have are African stores, if that is the business we are opening up, when our children go to school, let's say they go to Harvard and whatever, let's say the other races decide to work against us by saying they're not going to hire our people to disempower us, all we'll be able to hand over to our children are African stores. Now, how great can they be if African stores is what we have to hand over to them? So our mind has to be open beyond what we're learning here to begin to know that you are not in the diaspora as a mere immigrant. You are in the diaspora as an expatriate. You came here with an intelligence, you came here with wisdom. There is something you were doing very well where you were before you stepped out here. And what you did very well in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Kenya, has not left you. So don't let anybody put you in the corner and say mere immigrant. The word is becoming very derogatory, because whenever the whites come to Africa, we don't call them immigrants. We call them expatriates. We call them slave masters. We say the professionals. That is who we are. Because if you don't determine what you want to be called, then you cannot blame people for calling you anything they call you. Okay, so I have done that introduction so that you understand we're in for a ride and you don't miss any of the meetings. Today, we continue our conversation on things that nobody will tell you about marriage in the diaspora that you need to figure out. And what we're discussing, the one we're talking about today, is very, 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 very important and so dear to me. So the last time we started by looking at the first thing nobody will tell you, and that is that the fact that best friendship is not forced. It can either be natural or intentionally cultivated with time. So for those of you who were here, or those of you who missed it, the link has already been shared. I talked about, who was your best friend before growing up and how did they become your best friend, that oftentimes the way best friendship happens is not even planned, right? And even when you have to plan it, you have to be intentional. Now, if people get married, they put a lot of pressure on their relationship by expecting their spouses to be their best friend overnight. I mean, you're done 2 years.
I don't want noise. I don't want noise.
Already assume that your spouse has to automatically become your best friend. Automatic best friendship is at best a pseudo relationship that is never real, right? But you have to give it time. So if you have had a best friend, before now your spouse has had another best friend, or you have a group of people who serve as your support system, marriage should not make you just throw them away, because you will always need them till the two of you now grow to a level where you no longer need them. Even at that, when you grow into best of friendship, if that ever happens, you will still need them. And if best friendship never happens, ensure that your marriage works, right? Friendship is what you need to build a marriage, not best friendship. And applied knowledge is the most critical ingredient you need. So we talked about that. And then we talked about who is my authentic spouse without packaging and what's the best strategy to handle such. So I said, never ever desire that your spouse becomes someone else. Accept them for who they are right now, provided they're not going to change. And that is the key to getting the best out of your spouse. So today, I am going to touch on another point. I'll break it down a little bit. Then I'll give you a task to go and do with your spouse. Now, number 2 is that nobody will ever tell you is that unequal yoke is being married to someone who doesn't believe your beliefs. Now, many of you are already married. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. It just means that many of the crises you are dealing with has got nothing to do with the fact that your spouse is bad or you are bad. What is at war is the nation that produced the two of you. There is a nation that produced you, which is your family. There's a nation that produced your spouse, which is his or her family. Now, when the two of you came together, one of the things you overlook is the fact that there were patterns, systems, worldview, beliefs that you have imbibed for 26, 28 years of your life, depending on the age you got married, that has defined you. You have become a proper ambassador of the family that raised you. There is a way you see reality. There is a way you think. There's a way you cook. There's a way you serve the table. There's a way you eat, right? Now, if you don't come together to do what we call beliefs alignment or culture compatibility, the nations that produce the two of you will sabotage your best interest, especially in the diaspora. And I'm going to touch on something very critical. You must not change your Africanness, but you must change the African culture that cannot promote your best interest in the diaspora. Now, I'll take that again. You must not change your Africanness, but you must change the African culture within you that does not promote your best interest in the diaspora. Now, Africa, basically, it's underdeveloped world or developing nation. Now, many of us lived in a developed society. So there are things that were pretty much acceptable way back in Africa that will almost sabotage your best interest in the diaspora. Now, one of the basic differences between Africa and the rest of the world, especially nations the world, is systems. Africa is heavy on emotions. So when you were growing up, your parents, if you are here, your parents beat you for what you didn't even know. Can you say type I? Or your parents beat you, punished you for what you did not agree on the punishment before the offense was committed. Can you type I? Okay, let me see how many of you fell into that category. They beat you for what you don't even understand till now. Or they beat you for something that you didn't even agree on what the offense is, the punishment for the offense. Can you type I? Do I have people in this house? Okay, yes, I can see them. I can see them. Now, that is emotion. That is emotion. It's like being jailed for an offense that you are not aware was an offense. So you were beaten for being a child. age-appropriate behavior became an offense. You spilled water at age 3, they beat you. You spilled water at age 5, they beat you. You bedwet at age 6, which is an expected behavior, they beat you. So there was no point where you sat down and you said, what would be the disciplinary measure or punitive measure for this? Your parents just beat you, they beat you, they go, like we say in Nigeria. Now, that is the clearest feedback that they are built on emotion. And so you look at African leaders, look at President Buhari in Nigeria, you don't know what he's going to do next. The man is smiling when everybody is crying. The man is traveling when the nation is burning. You don't even know, and nobody can call him to order because everybody does rankadede, because that's one of the symptoms of emotional culture as against a system-built culture. In the UK, where some of you are, if the Queen goes late to the train station, let's say the train is supposed to move at 7 o'clock, and the Queen gets late in there, the train would have moved because the system is above individuals, from my understanding and my observation. Now, but you know, way back in Nigeria, for example, its minister can ground a plane because it's running late and in traffic. Now, a nation that does not have respect, or any culture that does not have respect for time, that cannot adequately manage 24 hours, and where there is no consequence for offense, for example, someone stole 80 billion naira. Now, what will 80 billion do to Nigerian economy? There's not going to be consequence anyway. Now, when you have that, it means that many of us, before moving here, we would have been schooled and we have become PhD holders of a culture that promotes emotion above logic, above science, above systems. Now you are living in an environment where you are paid per hour, which means productivity is measured per hour. You are coming from a place where productivity is measured at the end of the month, where there are more holidays than you actually need. So what it means is that can put a strain on your relationship depending on who gets accustomed to your new culture. So it's not as if your wife is becoming rude or she's no longer willing to cook. It's just that the new culture you have belonged to is not a culture that prioritizes gender as cooks as against human beings eating and cooking being a means to that feeding. So when you get to a level where you do not believe the same beliefs in the critical fundamental areas of your relationship, it will put a strain on your relationship. And that's why it looks like a lot of marriages of African descent crash when they get to the diaspora. And what we begin to hear is, we knew it was going to happen. She just used him to get abroad and they left him, or he used that. What is actually happening is both of them have grown apart and they did not pay attention to what was happening. Now, here is what is happening. What do you think will happen when a Spanish Romeo marries a German Juliet? If a Spaniard marries a German, you know, both of them are developed country. What do you think will be the problems? Can I test your knowledge base a little bit? Can somebody chat, put it in the chat? What do you think will be the problem? If a German marries a Spanish person, a Spaniard, what do you think the likely problem is going to be? Let me see. Let me test if you will get it, right? Let me see. Because, okay, somebody said language. God bless you. Communication will be a major barrier. Why? Because he's speaking Spanish, the other person is speaking German. Even though both of them are developed, they are going to have serious crisis. And that is what is happening to many marriages in the diaspora. Because as they have gotten here, one person becomes British, the other person remains a Nigerian. British is first world, the Nigerian is third world. Now, if the husband is the one that has remained the Nigerian and the wife has become the British, so she begins to say, oh, sweetheart, please, can you help us fix breakfast? And he has remained a Nigerian. That becomes very insulting from his worldview to say, what guts do you have to tell me to boil water? Remember, he never saw his father boil water. He never saw his great-grandfather boil water. In fact, they literally brought food for his father, put 7 meats there. He's allowed to choose. They kneel down to serve him, and they come and pack the plates. His father never washed plates, so he completely forgets. It's not because it's bad. What has happened is there is culture incompatibility. The two of them are now becoming unbelievers to themselves. right? Unbelievers doesn't mean the person is a sinner or doesn't mean it's bad. It just simply means that we no longer believe the same thing. And once beliefs are compromised, there is no way marriage is going to work. That is why even a lot of people step into marriage without questioning the critical areas of their beliefs. Now, there are 10 areas that everyone here needs to consistently review if your marriage will stand the test of time in the diaspora. Now, and in taking this assessment, you need to be brutally honest. One of the challenges I find with a lot of us as Africans is when you are asked to take a survey, you are not even honest with yourself because you take surveys by faith. You need to be honest with yourself. Many people pretend to marry. I've worked with people who will take this survey and the guy will say, oh, I agree. By the time he gets into marriage, it shows his true nature. What that will say is a clear case of deception where you deceived someone. You chose a belief that is not yours simply because you want to get their hands and marry. Now, and that's one of the grounds for nullification of marriage when a marriage is consummated under deception. Now, so these are the 10 critical areas that you have to consistently pay attention to. One, a man, I ran this survey for 40 couples who were dealing with domestic violence in Lagos, Nigeria, about 4 years ago. Lagos State government sent them to me. And I found very interesting that almost all of them had beliefs incompatibility. There were no beliefs alignment, cultural incompatibility. So it was clear. As a matter of fact, I have concluded that one of the core reasons for domestic violence or marital breakdown is cultural incompatibility. But it won't look like that, especially if you belong to the same religion. You just assume that both of us are Christians, we both speak in tongues, we are both born again. Born again does not take your culture. As a matter of fact, your Christianity or your Islam takes on the culture it meets on ground. So it becomes cultural Christianity or cultural Islam. That is why Christianity in Nigeria is totally different from Christianity in Japan or Christianity in America. Islam in UAE, totally different from Islam in northern Nigeria. So one, a man is superior to a woman and every woman must submit to a man. Now, if your answer is yes, you agree, that is a typical third world reasoning that is acceptable. If you disagree, then not only is it actually bad or wrong, because you also find women who will agree with that, even in diaspora. So it's not, let me take that back. So it's not the case of right and wrong. But if the two of you do not align to agree or disagree, then there's bound to be a problem. So for example, when you do this, a man is superior to a woman and the man you are married to in the diaspora says he agrees and you say you disagree. Now, what you want to do in culture alignment is to ask, why do you believe a man is superior? Oftentimes, our beliefs is not ours. In fact, let me say this, your beliefs is not often the truth. Your belief is what you are being conditioned to believe as the truth. I'll take that again. Your belief is not the truth. Your belief is what you are being conditioned to believe is the truth. If you have been following me on social media, I wrote an article yesterday about Shango and Ogun, which are the gods, known as gods, in Africa. But my research showed that they were not really gods. They were simply, military rulers who exhibited exceptional skills that was way ahead of their time. And the moment they demonstrated what did not look normal to the majority that were following them, the people started worshiping them, and that was how they became gods. So at best, Shango and Ogun most likely were innovators or inventors who were ahead of their time. Shango is the god of thunder. Maybe the guy found a version of an electricity that was way before Thomas Edison that could have been distributed. But maybe because of limited knowledge, he didn't know how to distribute it. And also, the Shango is, Ogun is the god of iron. Maybe the guy discovered a technology as well that was way ahead of his time. But because there was limited knowledge, people chose to worship them. And after a while, they were now demonized. Now, that is a perspective. So what is happening there is you want to check, but other people have packaged their own gods or their own ancestors properly for us, and we accept them and we reject our own. Now, this is not a case of religion or whatever, but I'm just tricking your brain a little bit. So in this case, you want to ask, what makes you think a man is superior to a woman? Every time I do cultural compatibility with couples in the diaspora, the man will say to me, I read it in the Bible. I'll tell them, show me where you read it in the Bible. Then they would say, and God said, let us make man in our image. Now, so I say, continue to read. And the next verse says, and let them. If it was a male he was talking about, it would have been let him have dominion. For it to have said let them, then it means that word man may not have been male. By the time we go to the Hebrew, which is the original translation of the Bible, we now discover that the word man there is the word humanity, or mankind expressed in two gender. So ideally, a man is not superior to a woman. And that's why if you check the world of children, which is the most perfect world on the planet, children don't talk about male, female. Why do we even talk about I'm superior to you when we are supposed to be complements? That if you disempower one to empower the other, our world will be imbalanced. And that's why if you look at the world, we've had a man's world, there was no happiness. Now we have women empowerment, we are still not happy. And I'm asking, why can't we have our world? What problem is it if Bokun can do something and can lead me? Would I have a problem because she's a woman, or because the concept of male and female is very simple? Male is actually defined as the masculine expression of humanity. Female is defined as the feminine expression of humanity. Once we agree with those two definitions, we will now know that a female is a feminine expression of me. I am a masculine expression of a female. That way, I am because she is, which is the Zulu concept called Ubuntu. Now, so a man is superior to a woman, there must be alignment here. So if the two of them believe that this is not true, then they are believers to each other. Now, like I said, unbelievers doesn't mean it's bad. It just means we don't believe what we believe. There may be women who believe what he believes. If he finds a woman, I mean, maybe you are not married and you're here. If you find a woman who believes that a man is superior to a woman, you are not also wrong. You guys can marry yourself. The only problem is, as she gets more exposed, she will believe something differently, and you are back to square one. Number two, I believe a husband is superior to his wife. A lot of men here, husbands will disagree, but their behavior shows that they are superior to their wives. Now, let me break this down a little bit. Now, that you are the head of the family doesn't mean you are superior. It's like we have a football team, then we have the team captain. The team captain is a player who has been given a responsibility. In a nation, the president of the country is not superior to the citizen. Is just a citizen who has been saddled with the responsibility to serve, to take decisions on behalf of us all. That is why he has special advisors. Now, the concept of leadership from our history is once I'm a leader, everybody serves me and I command them. And that is the problem a lot of husbands are having. Husband as the head means the servant leader who is saddled with the responsibility. In fact, the word husband is the word bridegroom, is an English word, which means the groomer of a bride. The job description is to groom everyone, is to create an enabling environment where the potential of everyone can find expression. So part of your service is to ensure that the house is clean, is to ensure that everywhere is like a developed family, right? So your job is not an easy task at all. And that is why you cannot have the word insecurity and the word husband in the same sentence. In fact, part of the criteria or the job description of a husband is your capacity to make everyone better. And that's why you cannot be competing with your wife. Competing with your wife or trying to subjugate her is an undeveloped thinking, which is what many of us were exposed to back in Africa and in some other culture, not just Africa. I've seen it among Hispanics. I've seen it in Asia. It's a belief system. And that belief, any belief that is not built on love, that cannot promote the best interest of everyone, are beliefs we need to begin to check. Now, so I believe a husband is superior to his wife. The two of you need to align to say, you know what, we disagree. Now, the thinking of a developed race, of a developed generation, is a thinking of equity or equality, where we are both formidable and we support ourselves, as against a thinking of I am superior, you are inferior. Now, what that simply means is the best of us can lead the rest of all, where you are not a total leader. You can be a leader in decision making. Your wife can be the leader in finances. You can be a leader in keeping the house clean, or even kitchen, because you are the better cook. Your wife can be the leader when it comes to parenting, because she has enough knowledge and maybe her area of focus is parenting. Number 3, I believe it is the duty of the woman to cook for the family. This is a major issue. Now, I always ask that if when we got to this planet, we met men cook and women don't cook, are we going to carry placard and say, oh, we are saying women must cook? No. As a matter of fact, one of the things I'm praying for all of us is God will bless us, all of us, and we become very wealthy, that cooking will no longer become an issue, because cooking is too mundane to be an issue. In fact, I tell men, you need to pay attention to what goes on in your kitchen, because your kitchen is either a pharmacy or a mortuary. So if you care about your health, you should care what is going on there. But we can all grow to a level where we can hire the best chef. I mean, it's basically lack of enough financial clout that makes us begin to fight over who should cook or who should not cook. But let's even say that, I mean, cooking can be learned. It's not rocket science. My mother put me in the kitchen. I'm in Dallas right now. Every time I get bored, because it can be very lonely here, I get to my kitchen and I fix stuff. I'm experimenting all kinds of things. I've always been cooking. It's not a big deal. Cooking is not a gender thing. And that's one of the things. And I'll tell you why you need to disabuse your mind about this. If you as a man get to the kitchen and you cook, your child will learn by observation that human beings cook because human beings eat. That cooking is a means to the end, and these are the things we need to change about our African culture, where you get married and suddenly they assume that your wife is a caterer, right? I told my family, my wife is not a caterer. We can pay a caterer to cook for Christmas, and that's what we've always done. So you need to do a culture compatibility test here. The problem is, a lot of our men, I've noticed in America, they can cook, but when they get to Nigeria, they now feel ashamed to repeat the same thing. We need to take it back to Africa and begin to show them a better way to live, a better way to do things, that it's our home, it's our family, and it doesn't matter who does what. We are building a developed family. Number 4, I believe a real man must be a breadwinner and must provide for his family. The head of the family is not the richest, it's not the smartest. Both of us, every workforce within the family must generate enough income that can move in the direction of family economy. So the concept of my money is my money, your money is your money should have no stay. A lot of men are dying early because we have put the burden of money making on them. There is nothing about a man from birth that says he's the one that should be making money. That is why we must both become empowered so that we can earn. If your husband is making £1 million, you are making £1 million, your internally generated revenue is £2 million. It means you have a better future than when you make nothing. I know some of you are quoting scriptures that says, if any man does not provide, is worse than an infidel. Go and read that verse very well. Read it in all translations. Number 1, that scripture is not about wedding. It's not about marriage. And you will never find if any man in any scripture. What is there is if anyone or if any does not provide. Now it's talking about care for widows and benevolence and charity. It's got nothing to do with marriage. Pastors are the ones who have turned it to a marital message, and they are molesting men who cannot provide. Now you must provide, because your capacity to earn is a reflection of the value that you contain. Every human being should be able to earn. So a real man must be able to bear doing and provide for his family. If your wife is the child of Richard Branson, there is no amount of money that you're going to make that you out earn her. So you better chill. Now, everybody must be hardworking. However, the concept of couple means everything we have is ours. So don't kill yourself and don't treat your husband shabbily because he does not have enough yet. Just ensure that he's hardworking, he keeps going out, and both of you are working hard, because we must be there for ourselves. We must not compete against ourselves in the diaspora. So we need to answer this, and you need to take a position. Number 5, the man should have the final say in every matter that concerns the family. I don't think that's even correct, but it depends on what you both agree. Your wife she may be more competent in a particular area. There are areas my son is the one who takes decision for the family right now because he's more competent in that area now. So we will be losing out if we keep insisting. Look at Nigeria. Nigeria is a country with some of the best brains, but the worst must lead. The school start holder must be the president. The professor must be the vice president. That is the culture of many African countries, where the worst must lead the rest because of entitlement or because of some funny criteria. If your wife is the better parent, maybe by the virtue of she experienced better parenting, let her create a parenting system that produced her for the family. If your own parenting was very bad, there is nothing to prove. Let us kill the ego because it looks like we are competing instead of collaborating together. So the man should have the final say. I think the best person who is most competent should have final say. But again, it depends on what you're trying to build. I think I'm sharing a template that can help us in the diaspora. Then our family members should be able to come in anytime they like. You guys need to take that decision. I'm not going to take that for you. Personally, if you ask for my opinion, I don't think that's also proper because a lot of us do not calculate what you spend. Now, if you have two people who just came in, you have done your budget for the year. Two people came to live in your house. They didn't tell you ahead of time, but because they're family, that's extra meal. Now, let's say a plate of meal every day, is 10 pounds. It means that they eat 3 times. That's 30 pounds times. So that's 60 pounds. If they eat every day, 60 pounds every day extra that you are spending on budgeted for expense, and they eat round the month in 30 days, right? At 60 pounds, that's 120. How much is that? 1,200? Is it 1,000 or 12,000 pounds or something? Multiply by 12, multiply by 10 years. You would see that some of your houses is in some people's belly. Now, it doesn't mean they cannot come. However, you need to be prepared and be able to take care of them. That's what I'm saying, right? And if they must come, can we get them a job? Can we make them also earn so that they can contribute? That's what the Indian community do. Nobody's freeloading on anybody. So you need to take that decision because not determining that ahead of time has destroyed a lot of families. Number 7, a wife who questions what her husband does is disrespectful. Is that correct? For a developed thinking, it's not correct because if your wife cannot tell you what is right or what you think is right, cannot give you a feedback, then what are we talking about? And people feel insulted when they have a different opinion. I think we need to outgrow that. Those were the things we used to do in Africa. We need to outgrow that because I think if our families work, and we kill insecurity, low self-esteem, and entitlement mentality, then we'll be ready for development. Number 8, it is not proper for a wife to earn more than her husband because she may become proud. Amen. People pray kind of prayer, your wife will not earn more than you. I think it's a useless prayer as far as I'm concerned. If we are truly a couple, what both of us earn must come in the direction of a family economy. Number 9, a man doesn't need to disclose what he earns to his wife. If you can disclose your pennies to your wife, why can't you disclose what you earn, right? The fact that we need to keep secret is the beginning of crisis in a lot of marriages. Not even in the diaspora where even government knows what you earn. So why are you keeping things? We need to work together. Number 10, a good man must be able to control his wife and cut down her excesses so that she doesn't disrespect him, right? Now the question is, what are the definition of excesses, right? And if excesses is because somebody can have excesses and just be accumulating shoes when you don't have properties, and then we need to have that conversation because it now has to be a trade-off between the future and the present. So you need to align. These are 10 critical areas that if you have beliefs compatibility, you can be sure marriage is going to be split in the diaspora and nothing is going to shake you in the diaspora. I'll take a lot of questions. So excess is both ways. Yes, I quite agree with you, right? So, I'll take questions, but let me say this finally. Until there is beliefs, alignment, and congruence, no deal. If you are single and you're not yet married, please, one of the tests you must insist on before you get married is culture compatibility test, right? If you know anybody who has a certification in family STEM engineering certification program, they have that test, they can run you through it and do a beliefs alignment, make sure it's documented, right? Because once there is unequal yoke, the two of you can be speaking in tongues or can be both Muslims, but you will be in different worldview. And what begins to happen is someone begins to die for the other person to live. You can eat your cake and have it if both of you decide to do it together, right? Well, that's what I believe. So you don't need to die. Your dream does not need to die for your husband's own dream to be alive. In fact, one of the things that kill dream is you need to stay at home with the children so that proximity is not parenting. Parenting is knowledge. If you build parenting around the system, trust me, you can go to bed. In next month, I think in July, I'm running a 4-week parenting program for parents in the diaspora. It's something I've done consistently on how to create a system framework for your children and script your children for success, creating a user's manual in the diaspora. If you are interested, you can join that class. It will start in July. But until there's beliefs alignment and congruence, no deal. And there can't be peace in the diaspora and your marriage once there is no beliefs alignment. Someone will be deceiving someone and someone is dying. So what do you need to do before our next meeting? 1, go and sit with your spouse, determine the type of family you want to create. Do you want a developing family or a developed family? Now, that question needs to be answered by both of you. If a developing family is what you want, then you can do things anyhow. If it's a developed family, it's going to change you. Number 2, agree on the beliefs that can promote the best interest of that outcome. So if we say it is developed family we want, what beliefs do we have right now that are not developed beliefs that we now need to change? Remember that we both need to work for each other. I don't think my wife is ruling me if I'm cooking for her. I don't think she's insulting if she says, please, can you help us pick breakfast? I've been saying she should help us fix lunch. Why should that be a problem? We need to leave those beliefs in Africa behind and hold on to that which promotes the best interest of all. Number 3, identify and eliminate developing beliefs that doesn't promote the dignity of person. Any belief we brought from Africa that is hindering us, because your beliefs can hinder you. Part of the beliefs hindering people in diaspora is the concept of demons that follow you to diaspora again. Where is the demon that is following you? I mean, people say to me, you know, there are demons. I believe there are demons. But the demon that wants to kill my life now, that wants to kill me, is a very broke demon, very poor demon, very useless demon. Because the demon should be worrying Elon Musk. It should be following Bill Gates. It should be following Richard Branson. If that demon is following me, that demon is very broke and very foolish, because I should not be his target customer. So, and I've not seen anybody who has gone to demonic meeting and took a selfie. So why should I leave Africa, come to diaspora and be fighting demon? I have not prayed against demon in the last 5 years of my life, not once. Right? So if you don't trouble lion, lion will not trouble you. Focus, begin to pray for God's intelligence, for God's supernatural wisdom. Not somebody wants to kill you. Well, the person that must kill you must go to the embassy. They will not give him visa to start with, but if you believe they can call you from somewhere to somewhere, it's your belief at the end of the day. Number 4, create activities that can promote the new beliefs you have embraced. So if you say it's development you want, developed nation you want, what activities? So maybe husband, learn how to cook and fix breakfast. I will fix lunch. Together we'll fix dinner with the children. Enjoy yourself. You are all you have out here, right? The family members, the distraction that used to distract you, they're all gone. Stick together, right? Because sometimes your husband is doing morning, you are doing night. And number 5, design a parenting template and review from time to time. Finally, life is too short to hold on to beliefs that will make us into the best version of ourselves. I am here as an expatriate. I'm a technocrat. That is my belief. You can't take that away from me. It shows in my mannerism. It shows when I go for meetings. I'm not going to cower and keep quiet. It's not dependent on my skin color. It's dependent on my mind and my belief system. It may have been handed over to us by those that raised us. But if what was handed to us, the beliefs that they handed to us, they handed over to us, did not make them highly evolved beings, did not make them into global icons, did not make them into innovators, you can be sure it will not make you into one. So begin to embrace the beliefs that can promote your dignity and make you the best everywhere you go. Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to see you the next time. I hope we can take a few questions. I hope this has been helpful. We'll see you some other time. Boko, I'm done.
Thank you so much, PF. Guys, I want to see the chat box. What is this doing to you? What have you learned? How are you feeling? How has this session been for you? Let me see the chat. And if I don't see the chat box the way I want to see it, I'm just, PF, should we come next time? Guys, Thank you, everyone. I can see it. Yes, let's see the comments. Thank you. It's been fully packed. People are sending emojis, the heart emoji. Somebody saying wow. People are, just giving us fantastic feedback. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any questions? Any other questions at all? I think PF can possibly just take one question because I need him to be out of here, even though I'm sure he doesn't want to leave, but I'm going to send him out. He knows that he has to go. So any question at all? How can we get the question? Someone's asking, how can we get the question? I don't understand. Okay, have we got any hand raised? Okay, someone's raised their hand, so they probably have a question, and that probably is the only question. But if you've got any questions, put it in the chat box, I will try and get it. Or just put it in the link. I'll share the link again where you can put the topics you want us to discuss. Oluwakemi has got a question. So Oluwakemi, if you can unmute yourself, someone is speaking. Let me mute. I want you. Yeah, I've muted the person. Okay. Oluwakemi, are you ready? I saw your hand up. Are you still asking your questions? Yes, video will be available for you to watch. Make sure you register, please. If Oluwakemi is not available, I will just read one of the questions. So if you can just pick any of the questions.
Yeah, I can see Gold. Gold is saying, what can you do when the man refuses to change from one of his bad habits and always say it doesn't matter? Now, you will need to negotiate. Now, I don't know. I would have loved to ask for that question. Does the man have someone that can talk to him, an authority figure both of you respect, that you can go sit with? If you don't have that, then you need to ask him if he loves you or what kind of family does he want. Go and do those tasks I ask you to do, right? If he says he wants a developed family, then ask him about that habit to say, how do you think this can help us achieve this, right? If you say it doesn't matter. So maybe you can also pick up your own habits and tell him, so what if I begin to do this? How will that make you feel? And I say it doesn't matter, right? Now, don't attack him. Listen to him. There may be a reason, there may be some pain that is using that habit to cure. You want to find out what the pain is, and we can create an intervention that can help you win, right? And so I'm speaking generic format because the question is not specific, right? But if I sit with you, I can design an intervention for you that we can test over time, and we can now see whether it helps you win. But I have worked with quite a number of people who have been able to win with their men, but there are things you need to do to ensure that you win with them. Everybody wants what is good. However, not everyone is willing to do what they need to do to get what is good. So once we can bait them with the vision ahead and they can see the benefits of that vision, then it becomes very easy to get them to do what they need to do. Okay, I can see another question. What can you do when you are doing so much, but it's not helping at all? Yeah, I mean, it's part of what I just addressed right now. And so it must start with, let him do little things like, please, sweetheart, can you help us boil water? Right? I don't feel well right now. Can you help me boil water? If he boils the water, praise him as if he has done what nobody in the world has done. Right? What you are doing is you are making deposits into his emotion, depending on the personality of your spouse and the worldview of your spouse. A lot of people are in the diaspora, but they are in Africa. In fact, they are in Musholosha in diaspora, right? It's just that they are in diaspora, but the worldview, the behavior is Mushin or Bodija or some Felele in Ibadan or Diaraba in Musholosha or something like that. That's where they are mentally. And you cannot totally blame them because it's not easy to change the mindset. But if he does little, praise him so well, pace him in another 48 hours, make another request, help us fill the gas. Sweetheart, thank you very much for what you did the last time. After a while, start to cook rice. Sweetheart, please, can you help me be tasting the rice? I need to quickly do something. He does that, overpraise him. Then one day, you are not going to feel well intentionally. You will feel well, or you're not going to feel well. Please, sweetheart, can you help us with rice? So gradually, because you are backing it up with praise consistently, he begins to feel, it doesn't feel they are using me or they are, and if possible, begin to take him to places where men cook, where men do stuff. So that he begins to see other people, what they are doing, because, we are so arrogant with our self-sabotaging behavior that we're not willing to change it. So what you do is you create doubts in the beliefs that have served him. And once you create those doubts with wisdom intentionally, it will crack eventually. That's why we say they've not given back to that man that a woman cannot pull down, or a woman cannot do what they want to do. Okay, it's that is the problem with my mush in Canada. Oh yeah, that's correct. Okay, so I think I've answered the 2 questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much, PM. On that note, guys, we are going to finish today. Bring more of your questions. Get people that that they need to hear this. Just bring them on. You don't need to, be loud about it. Be subtle, or try and drag them in. People who are either going through problems or difficulties, either to get married or in their marriages or in their family, or just anything around the family. They're having problems with siblings. Just bring them on. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, PF, and have a fantastic evening and weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.